Welcome, one and all, to the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, episode 214. I am your one and only host for this podcast, the Angry Raccoon, bringing you the first podcast of April 2023. And yeah, it has been an interesting couple of weeks, couple of days for me in particular. It's been rough. I mean, every time it kind of draws towards me having a couple of days off or it being a more national annual holiday, it feels like work just decides to just throw the worst possible outcomes and situations my way. It has been not hell, but it's been quite tiring, let's just say. I've barely been able to do anything, which is a bit annoying, especially given how I've been actually playing a brand new video game, and I think this is a game that a lot of people are playing, a lot of people are hyped over. That is, of course, the Resident Evil 4 remake that just released. I believe it was on the 24th of March was when it came out. I got it day one, played it. I've kind of been playing it since it came out, although, like I already alluded to, work and other things have kind of prevented me from actually playing it. I haven't actually played it in about 5 days, and I wanted to get it beat before this podcast actually went up, or was recorded more accurately. But yeah, it is a fantastic remake, fantastic game. I'm loving what they did with this game. Now, I'm not going to go into any spoilers, although it is a game that's like almost 2 decades old, because there are some changes, there are some differences, there are some things that you will expect and won't expect for the most part. But some of the things I'm really enjoying is just how many great changes they've made in terms of making it feel, I guess, modern, but also very faithful in the same sense. So a good example, or one of my favorite examples, kind of being the merchant who was the guy who sold you weapons in the first game. I really like the fact that when you do upgrade your weapons, you can pretty much, and also upgrade them, you can sell, let's say, the shotgun for a newer shotgun or the one you prefer, and you will roughly get almost all the money you put into it back, which I think is a really good concept, because before you would just waste your money for the most part. The attaché case is obviously a big thing in this game as well. It's one of the more iconic game mechanics that this game ever had for the most part. It was only ever in this game. The fifth game, Resident Evil 5, kind of had that, but it wasn't as, I guess, memorable, let's just say. And I do like the fact that you can auto sort out, organize things just with a press of a button, which is an absolute lifesaver. It really cuts down on the whole like managing and just the weird mini game that it was, which I really enjoy. And I think they did a lot of things well in terms of like the story, kind of like really fleshing it out and diving deep into, I guess, what's going on in the story for the most part. And I really do like its greater emphasis on backtracking and other elements, also using Ashley more as a, not really a game mechanic, but she's kind of been revamped in every sort of way. She has a different design. She's nowhere near as annoying. You can kind of have her either stick close to Leon or kind of run away from Leon, which is a mechanic that kind of works for the most part. Like, she doesn't really get hit, but sometimes she will literally just run in the way to run out of the way. It's very bizarre. It's not a perfect remake. There are some things I do not like in it, and there are some things that I believe, or believe that the original did a little bit better. I won't go into them because there are spoilers for the most part. But the one thing that actually drives me nuts in this game is how slow Leon walks or jogs. It honestly feels like he's running underwater, like they've intentionally slowed down the animation, and it really frustrates me because it is a fast-paced game at certain points. And when you're trying to run to, get to an enemy, get to a box, whatever, and you're just doing this sluggish walk, it really annoys me for the most part. But other than that, it's a really good game. I'm, super happy with it. I'm almost like lost for words in terms of just everything that could be said about this game, because there is so much to say about it. It's a very detailed game, and there's a lot of things that are, just awesome in this game. I think a lot of games really need to take note of this game. Once again, much like the original game redefined a genre and the game industry, I think this game could potentially do the same for the most part. The £60 over here in the UK, that price tag is way too steep for that game and any other game. So when it drops in price, let's say it's about £40-30, definitely pick it up because it's worth your time, especially if you like the previous remake games, even games like 7 and Village. I'd highly recommend it. But yeah, it's going to be a small episode for the most part. There really wasn't that much to honestly talk about for the most part, and I don't like adding filler into the podcast. So we've just got 3 trailers for the most part, and I think they're all really interesting ones to talk about. The first trailer we have is going to be for Trolls Band Together, which is the 3rd Trolls film from DreamWorks. I'm not a massive fan of the Trolls film simply because I do not like jukebox musicals, but whatever. But before we even talk about this trailer, I need to kind of go over and add on comments made by, I guess, the journalist site Cartoonbrew and many other people who have been discussing this. And that is that this is DreamWorks' 2nd film to be released this year, as the trailer for Trolls 3 was uploaded the same day Disney uploaded the official trailer for their next film, being Elemental. Now, Trolls 3 is releasing in November. It's now April, not the podcast. The trailer went up back in March. Yeah, why the hell are they uploading this trailer now? And I did mention this on the last podcast, kind of talking about Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. DreamWorks are kind of like spiting Disney in a way that doesn't benefit anyone. Like, I kind of made fun of it and thought it was funny, but now it's a little bit more serious, and I kind of understand why this is a bit of a problem. You know, it does, yeah, like, once again, it doesn't benefit anyone. And I mean, both of them look bad by doing this. They're hurting the industry by promoting too much content so soon, because I'm going to forget about these films the moment this podcast ends. And I'm not, you know, Trolls 3 is not on my radar in any sense. And the fact this film comes out literally end of the year, and you're already just dropping a trailer just to, you know, take shine away from Disney. I mean, granted, all the shine needs to be taken away from Disney, but still, it's just childish at the end of the day. It's like very petty, very silly, just, I'm going to do this to stop you so you don't have the attention on, you know, it feels like that. It's like there's just like some childish idiot at DreamWorks just going, quick, we need to, you know, do this to spite Disney. It's silly. Like, I do get it. Disney is desperate for positive attention and money, and DreamWorks are taking advantage of their weakness, you know, and capitalizing on their win streak. But it's petty competition. Like, I mean, I'm all for good films happening and all that kind of stuff, but it rubs me the wrong way how they are, I guess, going at this, and especially coming from Disney as well, because I don't know who uploaded the trailer first. I don't care, but Disney does have a history for doing this kind of thing. In the description, the download link, I'm actually going to have a link to the Cartoonbrew, I guess, comment where they are mentioning the fact that there are 3 animated films coming out and they're dropping the same trailer there. They also link a article talking about how Disney intentionally sabotaged and went about doing roughly the same thing to the, I think it was 20th Century Fox film Anastasia. They didn't want that animated film to succeed, so they essentially did the same thing, kind of took away their shine, intentionally tried to stop people from seeing the film and all that, and that film evidently did financially flop in the cinemas, partly in due to Disney's meddling and their, I guess, status in the film animation industry. So it's a disgusting practice, and I really don't want to see DreamWorks kind of go down that rabbit hole or stoop to that low of a level. I really hope they don't, because at the end of the day, Disney needs to shut the fuck up until they start making something more original than Zootopia without the rabbits. And DreamWorks, you guys need to be humble. Like, don't let this success get to your head just because you're on a winning streak. Yeah, you had the 2 best films of last year or of the last 9 months. Like, you know, calm it down. These 2 films, being Ruby Gillman and Trolls 3, could be a flop, okay? Just because you have licensed music and you're going to upload all the songs sung in Trolls 3 to maximize your profit doesn't mean you're going to produce a good film or that people are going to like it or that you're going to make as much money as you think you will. You got to keep that in mind. But yeah, let's actually talk about Trolls 3, or Band Together as they want to call it. The film itself, it looks alright. Like I said before, I'm not a big fan of this series, but visually, it looks incredible. Like, it's bright, it's colorful, it's really detailed despite the characters in the world kind of having this like simple yet cartoony aesthetic. Like, the films have always excelled in that area of kind of just being amazing to look at for the most part. Like, kind of what a young child would kind of imagine their dream fantasy world to look like for the most part. And they've always done a good job with that. The story is nothing special, as they're doing the whole "it's my brother who I've never mentioned before" trope, which is really played out. I mean, yeah, it's kind of interesting that we have like a boy band theme, and he was part of a boy band, being Branch, voiced by Justin Timberlake. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, and it thematically makes sense in the film that there would be boy bands, there would be artists, there would be this possible boy band rivalry culture that could exist in the world. But I mean, and yeah, Branch wouldn't talk about being in, as the band's called, Brozone, because obviously of bad blood and them abandoning him as a baby and that. But if Brozone is as popular as they were before they disbanded, and given how Poppy is a massive fan of this band, it's still strange how no one has mentioned them throughout the entirety of these two films. Like, at no point, no one has ever mentioned them, no one has a poster or a t-shirt, reminisced about them. It's bizarre. You can't have just a concept just appear like that and pretend like it was always there. Not unless you already had planned it, but then again, that just kind of comes down to lazy writing and lazy sequeling. I don't know if that's a word. The trailer doesn't spoil much other than a psychedelic animation section, which looks really cool, clearly taking inspiration from Yellow Submarine for the most part. And yeah, but on spoilers though, I think it was a bit interesting how the two, I don't know what they're called, but basically the other creatures in the trolls world, Bridget and Gritsley, I think that's what they're called. They're getting married, which is kind of cute. That's a nice throwback to the first film and a way to, I don't know, get the film going, I guess. But it does make me wonder, where are the rock trolls from the second film? Like, they just absent now? I can't remember what happens at the end of the second film. Maybe they died. I don't know. Yeah, like, where are they? Like, if the whole point of this film is going to be like another adventure where we're traveling the world, we're seeing different species, hearing different music, we need to band together to, save, I think, Floyd, who is one of the characters from the Boyzone band who's been kidnapped. Would it not help to gather as many music genres, as many trolls, as many people as you can to go help? Like, bit bizarre. It feels like a missed opportunity. Maybe they are going to be in the film. I don't know. At least Barb, who was the rock troll, she should at least show up. But yeah, no, it's strange. I really don't get it. And, also it's really funny because Justin Timberlake was in a boy band and now he's voicing a character that was in a boy band. Yeah, it's really clever for the most part. It's almost as if they only just realized that or something. Like, oh, did you know the voice actor who plays Branch used to be in a boy band and sing? Most people forgot that. The voice cast, though, is really cool. Obviously, Justin Timberlake, Eric Andre is going to be voicing one of Branch's brothers. I think he's going to single-handedly save this film because he's such an amazing performer, actor. He kind of brings a great level of personality and energy to any role he plays, even in the voiced roles he has done. Anderson .Paak, Kid Cudi, and David Diggs are going to be in this film as well, I believe, as other brothers of Branch. Really interested by David Diggs, who is the lead vocalist on the experimental rap group Clipping, who I am a massive fan of. So that's really cool to see him in something like this. Also, I think he was either in or he did some work for, I forget that musical. I completely forget what that musical is called, but it's the one about the First Amendment. The name's escaping me. Maybe I'll remember it later. But yeah, I think that's really awesome to have like these, quite prolific music artists in the film, hopefully lending their voice in interesting ways. Also, James Corden is seemingly not in this film, which is a massive plus because, yeah, he's a bit of a prat. But yeah, let's move on to our next trailer, and we're going to stay animated with Unicorn Warriors Eternal. Genndy Tartakovsky is back, and I am super excited for this series. I've been looking forward to it ever since I saw the original teaser poster for it almost like 2 years ago, and now it's finally here. And it seems to be sort of like a modern return to the Saturday morning cartoon genre, kind of taking a little bit more inspiration from anime and like Mike Malona. No, not Mike. Mike Millingnoa, the creator of Hellboy. I think I've completely butchered your surname. 1,000 apologies. Especially like the amazing screw-on head for the most part, because that robot in Unicorn looks exactly like some of the design aesthetics of the amazing screw-on head for the most part. But yeah, this looks epic for the most part. The action is speedy and fluid, and the concept behind these like beings being reborn within or like as different characters or people is such a cool premise, because you can do so much with it. You can obviously go back and show the previous iterations of these characters, have these previous versions of these beings slash souls or whatever they're going to be called, kind of talk to each other, guide each other. It's an element I really like, because it kind of goes into a little bit more of a like cosmic spiritual aspect of what could essentially be like a children's action cartoon, which I really like, and only Gendy Tartakovsky would go that far and do something as, I guess, technically experimental to some extent, if you want to just view it as a children's cartoon once again. The art style is great. They have these really nice, thick, bold outlines, and like there's something like really nostalgic about their designs. I'm not sure if it's super intentional or not. Mainly with Melena's kind of like early anime like eyes, where she's got like the big pupils, she's got like the reflective like white circles. She's very big-eyed, very star-eyed. It very much looks like that era. She kind of looks like a character that you would see in once again very early anime, like 1960s 70s, Astro Boy, Tetsuro era like stylings for the most part. But yeah, like I really do like, how should I put it? I do like how varied the characters are, which feels appropriate given that they're going to be changing forms or have changed forms for the most part, as we basically have a robot, a sorceress, an elf, and a monk. It's simple but effective, and I do appreciate the direction to actually have each character be something completely different. Because with the idea of, warriors, you could just all have them in the same armor. You can have them carrying just slight variations of the same weapon, and I think that wouldn't be as visually interesting for the most part. But having them all be something that you can visually identify and differentiate, I think was a very clever, and just it's a breath of fresh air for the most part. Too many times it's just, we are this collective, we are this group, you cannot tell us apart, and I do appreciate that. Obviously Melinda is everyone's favorite character already, because she's a goth. I mean, I know she's not necessarily a goth, but she looks like a goth. She's reminiscent of Raven, so of course she's going to be everyone's favorite. And if you're a furry, your favorite character is going to be that fox girl in the dress. Yeah, I would love to see this series go real deep into some amazing maybe cosmic horror themes, especially themes of existentialism as well, given the fact that I guess it's implied in the trailer that Melinda? Oh my god. Melinda. What the hell is going on? I guess it's implied that Melinda kind of just becomes one of these warriors, without her, really wanting to be. So I kind of like the idea that maybe the original spirit, or the original soul, or whoever, might be conflicted, or they may clash in some sense in a spiritual way, where she's literally talking to this previous warrior. She decides whether, figures out whether she does or doesn't want to be a warrior. I think that'd be a really interesting concept. Like, is it something that you, how are people chosen to be this? Is it at random, for the most part? I don't know. It's all stuff I'm very interested to see, and I hope that that's expanded on and really elaborated in the series for the most part. But yeah, I'm really excited. Really excited. Another film I'm kind of excited for, and our last trailer, is going to be for Asteroid City, which is Wes Anderson's next film. And yeah, it is a Wes Anderson film, true to the core. No, yeah. His stylings are pretty much here. His, I guess, iconic kind of panning dolly shots, his weird eccentricities in his filmmaking. But I mean, his films are beautifully shot, and this film is no exception for the most part. Although it does seem like he's like experimenting with like lighting in this film, kind of like depicting this like dry desert area as more like dully bright. Like things look kind of mute, and I kind of like that for the most part. It's ugly, but I guess it's maybe a reflection of the time period to some extent. It's also very colorful. Like he's kept the color there, which is nice. It kind of doesn't make the film look like awful to look at for the most part. And like the scene with the spaceship or whatever that is landing looked really cool. Like the fact that the whole scene is kind of like being lit in the dark with that lovely shade of green is actually really nice. I think that's something different from him for the most part. I can't think of too many films where I've seen a shot like that. I know some of his films kind of have like a bit of a weird, playful fairy tale-esque vibe to it, and this one feels a little bit more, I don't know, serious to some extent. Like he's trying to tell like more of a story, but with an interesting visual style, which I kind of appreciate that because he kind of does need to change the style up a little bit before it starts to get boring, and maybe this is him trying something new, at least fingers crossed for the most part. The cast is really strong, of course. I'm very interested to see Margot Robbie and Scarlett Johansson kind of in the role as one of his weird oddball characters, and the story is pretty interesting. It is interesting to see like a sleepy town getting like sectioned off or quarantined because of an asteroid or explosion or aliens. It's not really known, and I think that's kind of the point behind this film, or at least this trailer, is you don't really know what's going on. Characters don't seem to, which I think is kind of cool. The fact that the town is now like world news and the characters have to deal with the fact that they're just here and something's happening, that's kind of cool. If it works, it could be a really strong film that you can just chill to for the most part. Like, I do like films where you can just relax to. You don't have to, you don't have to see the previous Wes Anderson films to understand the 7 references in this one, unlike some other film franchises and studios. But yeah, no, I like it. I'll probably give it a watch. I've watched almost every single one of Wes Anderson's films and enjoyed pretty much all of them for the most part. And the only thing that kind of bothers me or is rubbing me the wrong way is like I really don't like the dialogue in this film. I think it's too quirky. Like I don't mind it being like playful and cute to some extent, but it's a little bit too, how you say, oh, I'm standing here. Oh, you're standing here? Yes, I'm standing here. What are you doing? Well, I'm looking at you standing here. It's too fast. It's too unnatural. A lot of the dialogue in his films are unnatural, but here it feels very unnatural and stilted, which I'm not a massive fan of. But yeah, fingers crossed this one will be good once again. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the podcast. Like I said, it was going to be a short one, but to kind of make up for this being a shorter episode, we have the video of the episode, which is going to be the pilot for Lackadaisy, which is it was originally based on a comic book series. I cannot remember the creator's name, but they've been working on this animated pilot for a good couple years, and it finally released back in March, and I've watched it, and it's really good. It shows a lot of potential for, I guess, this studio or the director, writer, whoever, to kind of make this into a web series. I think it honestly could be that, and we have seen that with plenty of other examples of other content creators, animators being able to make series and get millions of views and, really excel once again in that field. But yeah, I really, really like this pilot. It's 27 minutes long, so it's quite a long pilot. Usually pilots are a couple of minutes, but it's basically like a full-fledged episode. I'm guessing it's serving as somewhat of a prequel or starting point to maybe the comics or this series. I haven't read the comics. I don't know. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But I'm really interested in it. I would love to see this become a series, like a new episode every couple months, that kind of thing. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the video, because I think it's really cool. Lots of really cool concepts. Everyone's a cat in this series. It takes place in 1927, which is kind of cool. So in New York, I'm guessing, or America. No, not America. I can't remember where it is, but in America somewhere. And I do like it. It's beautifully animated. I love the fact that the, I don't know what you call it. but it's sort of like the outlines, the rough outlines of characters. You know, when they have like the, you know, the lines and the ball and X to kind of show where the character's going to move or the pose. I kind of like how that's still kind of present there. It's kind of a cute detail. I wonder if that's, I wonder how intentional that is. Well, no, I think it obviously is intentional, but I wonder why they decided to keep that. I do wonder, maybe because it's a pilot, I don't know. But regardless, I highly recommend watching it and give it a watch, give it a like, spread it around, because I want to see this animation get millions of views, and I want a series to come of this. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the podcast for the most part. But I guess I will end this podcast like I always do by saying I was the Angry Raccoon, and I will see you on the next podcast.